Hey garden friends, isn't this gorgeous? Yes, I love my echinaceas, and back here, my rudbeckias. I'm going to share with you how I get started early, like this summer, for next summer's blooms. And it's super simple, budget friendly, and I'm going to share with you how you can do it too. So this here is the raised bed where I'm going to plant the seeds. This is a dedicated area for seed starting, and I call this a nursery bed. I will share with you a trick that if you don't want to have to dig up or you're afraid of disturbing the roots too much, how you can do it so that it's very easy to pop them up and place them where you wish. Now the first thing I need to do is get rid of these strawberries. This area right here, we need to be able to go around here and back here to dig out the chicken pen and dump the debris before we put up the greenhouse. So I'm going to do that really quick before I seed start in here because it'll make it handier for me to kneel right there. These are great strawberries, so I'm not getting rid of them. I'm going to put them in this bucket right here. Hopefully I'm in the camera. If not, I just won't show this part. No, let me see. We're digging them up as best I can. Usually strawberries are fairly shallow rooted, but these have been here for a bit, and I could go ahead and just pull them up. Nice roots. And I will trim these back when I pot them up individually or replant them in another area. So I'm just going to put them in the bucket. Oh, there was a runner on that one. Yeah, these were just a few plants, and they really took off and spread in here, and there's a bunch of runners. I was going to cut those off because if you keep cutting off the runners like this time of year, then you will continue to get berries. But I knew I was pulling these up, so I didn't really pay that close attention to them. Now I got these bare roots one year, and they're ever bearing. That's why you can keep getting more fruit from them in the summer if you keep the runners cut off. So instead of producing runners or putting energy into runners, it puts it into more fruit. But yeah, they are the best. Now, they're called Eversweet, and they are truly very sweet berries. And I had thought of just doing all strawberries in there, and that would work too. But I like having it as a nursery bed to start new seeds for the next year. It's nice and handy to have them in one spot. There's a sprinkler system set up where I can turn it on and mist them every day. Okay, so there's a few more weeds in here, but I'll dig them out as I go. And here is the white swan echinacea. Now this is not a very sturdy. It's not like the Vigo garden beds that have a sturdy sides. These are cheaply made, but it works for this. And I've had these a few years. The only time it got squished was either I tried to lean on it or a bear stepped on it. So yeah, they've done the job. Though I love my Vigo garden beds, and I would love to replace these with them in the future. But I'm waiting for this whole area, working it until my greenhouse is done. So got that all done. Now, to direct sow, which I can do with these echinacea, which I have some more white swan. I don't know if you're there in the camera right now, the white flowers. There's a big old bumblebee right on it. Sorry if there's any background noise. Let me see if I can turn on my noise cancellation. Okay, I did it. So, one way is to direct sow. And I just make what they call a little drill, which is like a little trough, very shallow. You read your seed packet to see what, I have them in my back pocket, how deeply they should be planted. Echinacea white swan. So, days to emerge 10 to 20, seed depth 1/4 inch. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I don't care about closeness or how close they are. What am I saying? Now, I don't read. Now, how close they go is up to me because these are going to be transplanted. They can be transplanted either in the fall or late fall. I don't care how close I plant them, except for being able to get them apart. Now, these I will probably leave in here till spring, and then I will transplant them out to where I want them in other parts of the garden. So as long as I can get them apart, now they're not really just easily disturbed, their roots. You can move them. Some plants don't like their roots disturbed, but these are pretty tolerant of being moved. So I'm just kind of sprinkling them in here, and I'll go all the way to the edge. Now in 10 days, I will come, 10 to 14, 2 weeks, come and see what has germinated and what hasn't, and I may resow. I'll have plenty of time to resow some more, just in case something happened. Maybe they got dried out, maybe, who knows. Right now this bed is very moist, I made sure, and this soil in here is very light. I have a bunch of ants. I'm gonna have to get my first Saturday lime. I use that to deter bugs. It doesn't kill anything, it's not poisonous, but it does deter them. Now, that is a row of the echinacea, and I probably sowed at least 10, if not more. And I just kind of sprinkled them along. I did not space them exactly. If you want to space them, do it about 1 inch, 2 inches apart, and that should be good. So here's my other trick for plants that don't like their roots disturbed much, and that is black-eyed Susans. They really don't like the root disturbance. So what I do is I get a 4-inch pot, and then I will dig a spot in the soil for the 4-inch pot. Of course, I'm away from where the others are going to germinate. Now I'm digging up a bunch of bulbs here that I'll have to replant, but I'll get that down there in the soil, put it down, and then I will fill it back up. I'm just using the soil that's here. This is very good, rich soil. It was compost and all kinds of goodies that I used in here. And I'll do the same all the way across. So I'm going to put these bulbs up here and get them. They were rather shallow anyways. What they were from a container that I dumped out that had bulbs in it. And I was surprised at how well they grew because I just dumped the container out and they were upside down and every which way. So it was no rhyme or reason to it. More bulbs. They must have loved this bed because it propagated themselves, because I don't remember there being that many bulbs. All right, another pot. And I'll do that all the way across. And that is where I will do the black-eyed Susans, is in those pots. And I'll read how deep, press into surface, so you don't want them to be very deep. Now I'm going to do 2 per pot. And this is sealed in a packet. Now, Indian Summer is one of my favorites. The yellow of it is just so gorgeous. I also love the Sahara mix that I planted. Tiny, tiny. So I'm just going to use my fingernail, and I'm going to press 2 in. And I'm going to do the same. Oops, that was I should have firmed it in first, the soil. So I'm going to do, pill bug. I really do got to get that first Saturday light. Pill bugs will eat your seedlings like crazy. They are just little pesky things. I know some people say, oh, they don't eat live plants, they only eat dead material. That is not accurate. So don't believe them. Okay. Lots of ants in here. I don't know that that's getting down in there. See, I firmed that one down. That's the better way to do it. And Yeah, get 2. These are so tiny, you have to make sure I don't get too many. All right, so there are those. Now the other thing I'm going to plant in here, and I can continue on with the row, or I could do something different. If that's all the Indian summers I want to plant here, that's fine. The rest, I could just do direct sow out in the garden beds where I want them. That's another thing I do. Okay, if there's an area, like, okay, bare, and I want to plant them in place so I do not have to move them, I would have to thin them, meaning if I plant 3 seeds and they're too close together, when they come up, I'd have to cut out 2. Or try to transplant. You can always try. They don't like being transplanted, but it doesn't mean it won't work. I've done things that aren't supposed to work many times, and it was successful. All right, these are pressed into surface. These are Canterbury bells. Now, I want to do a bunch of these, so I'm going to fill, like, oh, this section here. I'm going to leave this section because I've got some other seeds coming that I want to start. And some beautiful cream de cassis hollyhocks. They're beautiful, and I just want them to have some space there to get going too. Now, we will do this. Now, the only bad side of having bulbs in here is when I go to transplant, they might be in the way. But we'll test it out and see. Not in the way, it just means that they would get transplanted with everything that I tried to dig up. Okay, these are super fine seeds. I'm going to sprinkle them in here. I'm not going to do it in a row, nothing. I will just take my chances and be good with it. So that, my friends, is how I plant seeds in late July, late summer. And I'm just going to firm them down with my foot because it's wider than my hand. In this dedicated nursery bed is what I call it. And we'll call it good. Now, how do I water, keep it watered? Well, if you want to hand water it, you can, but that can be tiresome. The spray could dislodge seeds if you have a very stiff spray. Now, I'm going to keep this line here in my mind. Also, I can review the video. Save that spot for later. All of these seeds that I just sowed could be sown in place in your garden beds, wherever you want it to grow. Got a hummingbird over there on the larkspur. So how I keep this watered is I have drip system set up with these Mr. sprayers. And I'll turn it on for you. Let's see, I don't know how strong that one is. You can twist it to give the power or the distance. Let me go turn it on. Now I have to go and test out. See, I want it to spray further, and it should be spraying further. So that means there is either an air in here or where it's plugged into the hose has gotten pulled loose. So that pretty much is covering it. Okay, for this other spot, those would normally spray much further. And sometimes they do. It depends on the pressure. I could also put in, if I want to make sure this gets watered well, thoroughly, is I could place this one here and place another one over there. You see how that went down when I did that? I just unscrewed the whole thing. It looks like it has plenty of pressure, so I'm wondering what the deal is that it's not spraying as well as it could. So, yeah. Anyways, I could put another one here, and that way it gets the coverage that I need. That one's a bubbler and not a sprayer. I do have another one over there, over here, sorry. That is also a bubbler, and I could put it here and it would cover the rest. But I think I'll put another sprayer on there and make sure the bed gets the coverage I want it to. And then every morning, guess I'll get down here and talk to you. No, I'll stand up here. So what I will do is every morning, I will put that on for like 10 minutes. And that makes sure, because the surface dries out faster than the rest of the ground. Yes, the underneath ground, it will draw up moisture, but just to be sure, I will make sure that I turn on the misters. I'm going to replace that bubbler with a mister on at least 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes each morning until I get germination, especially on very hot days. You could also do it in the evening if you want. So that is how I use a nursery bed, a dedicated area for starting seeds in late summer, early fall. You can do this on through August for most places. Our first frost date is usually mid-October. The last couple of years, it hasn't frozen or frosted until November. But, you know, I've also had a heavy frost or freeze in October 10th. So you never know. But that will give the plants time to put down good roots so they can make it through the winter. These are perennials here. I haven't looked up the zone range of where they're perennial at, but many hardy plants can be sown in the fall for the next spring. Now, I'll take you up and we will sow some foxgloves, and I'll share with you how I do that. Now you see this sprayer here, you see how far it's spraying? If I put that in the middle, center of this bed, but I have a plant there, it would cover the entire bed. And yeah, that is what I was hoping with the other one. I don't know why. I could replace that one. I don't know why that section has lower pressure, but that's just the way it is. So yeah, that is just a demonstration of how one of those sprayers could cover the entire bed. Isn't this echinacea just gorgeous? This is a sterile hybrid. You would have to divide that from the roots to get the same plant. And that one's getting pretty bulky, and probably closer to fall, I can divide that or wait till next spring. And I want to show you something back here too. I can't help it. It's too pretty. You see this? This is an echinacea. Look at that. The yellow, the pink. This is a cross between a rudbeckia and an echinacea. That is just to die for. I'm hoping to find another one. That is just too pretty. Now, these are in this raised bed again, as I said before, because the gophers love to eat the echinaceas. And once I buy an expensive plant, they're not really expensive. I think these were $8, but I don't want to lose them to the gophers. Now, the seed sown ones that are everywhere, the native ones, it doesn't break my heart too badly to have them eaten by the gophers because I can replace them easily. But I do try to protect them as much as I can from the gophers so that I can enjoy them. I don't remember what this one was. It might be the star, something happy star. It was a shorter growing one, and I wanted to grow. They also have a white that's a shorter growing one that I want to try. So I'm ordering those seeds too. So back in here is where I'm thinking I'm going to spread those foxglove seeds. The years that I grew foxgloves back there, they were just beautiful. Now, it will not hurt the crepe myrtle or the smoke bush tree, which I need to prune that because it's throwing out these wild hair canes. I don't want this to get big. I want it to stay compact. And pruning it in summer will keep it compact. When you prune in winter, it enhances growth. When you prune in summer, it keeps it down to size. So it inhibits that growth like that. And I do want to keep this a smaller tree. I do not want a big, large tree. First, I'll share with you how I collect seeds. Now, if I want to be particular, I will go along. I think this one was a bright fuchsia pink, which is really pretty in the garden. And each of these seed pods here, they have dried all the way up to here. So all of these are ready. In fact, some has already fallen here, so I'll most likely get more here. But I can collect them in this if I want to spread them. And then I have plenty. You will have millions of seeds. So here's where we're going to get up close so you can see. These are the individual seed pods, and I just put my container beneath and nip them off into the container. And you see in there all the little seeds. Let's get away the pods out of the way, and you can see the seeds in there. Now this, of course, is bazillion seeds, and yeah, you could spend some relaxing moments doing this. And just take your time, listen to the birds. There was a bee buzzing into the flowers that were still at the top of this plant. That's one thing about foxgloves. They bloom from the bottom to the top, and you can still have flowers at the top when it's time to collect the seeds below. Here comes a bumblebee. He just flitted on by. Now, that is the close-up of collecting the foxglove seeds to spread. Now you know why, if I have a particular spot in the garden I want to sow them, I just clip off the entire stalk and shake it, because it's just quicker. But if you want to be more specific, this works too. So now I have some beautiful seeds in here, and I can take the pods and squish them out. You see more seeds falling? And then you wouldn't have the pods in there. But many times I let them dry, and then I'll do that. So there you go. Millions and millions. That could be quite tedious, but another way I do it is I just cut it off below. I'll put my gloves on. Some people, they have a skin reaction to foxgloves. I do not, but I will show you how I do it with my gloves on. Okay. So if there's an area, let's say I want to put them over there. I'm not sure you could see over there, but I grab it, cut it, and then I shake. There is a bazillion seeds. You're going to get foxgloves. Also, when they're about this big, you can dig them up and transplant them before they get that big taproot. Once they get larger, they have a huge taproot and they don't like to be moved. So I think I'll take this one around back and I'll sprinkle it in that bed that I shared with you, just like I sprinkled it here. I have to hold this upright, so I can't take the camera with me. So you're just going to have to imagine how I do that. But I will come back next spring and share with you how they do. I actually changed my mind. I think I'll put these here. Now, I have a butterfly bush I keep cutting back here. I let a little piece come up. This hollyhock has not been blooming like I would like it to. So it's going to go. It's a beautiful pink. I may let some seeds start, but this might be where I put that cream de cassis hollyhock. And I think it'd be perfect. So digging this out, and then I will have to start the cream de cassis maybe in pots, and then transplant them out as soon as I can, because this ground here is full of hollyhock seeds. So I want to make sure that what comes up, or what I have here, is the cream de cassis. So what I'll do is I will dig this one up. They have big, deep taproots. So far, the gophers have not eaten it. Doesn't mean they won't. But yeah, the cream de cassis, I'll also put it in a gopher cage. See, make sure it doesn't get eaten. But so far, the ones up here haven't. I don't know why. Anyways, so that way, by growing it in a container and then putting it in the ground, then I'll know that's the one that's going to be coming up here. So there, I just spread the foxglove seeds. The foxgloves will be done before the hollyhock is ready to bloom. I will cut it back, or I will pull them out. And being they were free, especially if they come up now, they probably will bloom next spring. If they don't, then I have to wait another season, and I'm okay with that. I'll just thin them enough that they don't crowd out the hollyhock that I put here. But there are varieties of foxgloves that do bloom the first season when sown early, like sowing them now. And I think that's the Excelsior Camelot mix, and the Foxy mix. I think those are all first year blooming foxgloves. Okay, so as I said, I'm also going to start those hollyhocks when I get the seeds. So how do I know that sowing at this time of year will work? Number one, I've done it before. Number two, I take a cue from nature. Follow nature. When they go to seed, like I have a black-eyed Susan right behind the camera, and one flower has faded, and the seeds will be ripe very soon. Then that's when nature plants it. So why wouldn't it work for us? Directly planting certain seeds in certain areas. It's the same with echinacea. The echinacea, actually, they're not gone to seed yet here. None of mine have faded, but I know I can do it. And it's a perfect time for it because the soil's warm, warm temperatures, all the things they love. There are some seed varieties, and it will say on the package, they like cooler temperatures to germinate. So know the plant that you're trying to plant and its preferences for that. But there's a lot of summer perennials that you can seed in late summer. I wouldn't consider this late summer. I would say this is midsummer because it's towards the end of July. You could do this through August. I guess that bears repeating because I have said it before. But anyways, I wish you happy planting of seeds and check out what other ones. I will try to come up with a list of seeds that you could sow now. Jupiter's beard, I know, because that's going to seed and they're blowing all over. The larkspur that have gone to seed, those ones could be sown right now because they are dropping seeds as we speak. I'm looking around my garden to see what else is going to seed. The poppies. Poppies, you can also winter sow. They love the cool of the winter, and you can sow them in place. The poppies that I showed in my entrance garden tour that were so gorgeous, so frilly, those I sowed in winter, but you can start collecting the seeds as soon as the pods get dry enough that you know they're ripe and they're rattling in there. But the pods too, they're just beautiful. Even though the poppies are done, the pods are really putting on a show themselves. So it's no hardship to leave them in the garden a while. So my friends, some of my daisies are going to seed. So those are another one that you could sow readily. I wonder, I have a sea holly. I wonder if it could be sown now. I have one plant that lived. The gophers loved them. I had a few. They're most beautiful, vibrant blue. A blue you just don't get in many flowers, and the gophers sucked them right down. I have one that survived, and it's blooming right now. So it might be one also that you could get away with sowing now. I'll have to look that one up. So I hope you enjoyed this planting seeds in summer video. And I'll see you next time with another helpful tip or trick in the garden. So I'll see you next time with another helpful tip or trick or story or something fun in the garden. I need to do another garden tour, huh? Yeah, I'll have to do that. Okay, see you later. Bye.